The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines censorship as the institution, system, or practice of a person being supervised by a set of conduct and morals. This being said, many individuals have personal feelings about censorship in every aspect of human life. While it's easy to say that censorship deprives us of our freedom of speech and media, it really protects us from the information that can harm morale. Americans thrive with the idea of freedom in every chance that they get, so the idea that taking away this information will make us more free burns a fire that can't be extinguished in the hearts of Americans. In schools, censorship is one of the most widely debated topics within history and literature courses. While it's safe to argue that our freedom to be able to read books of our liking should be without restriction, the protection of minorities and children is something that authors sometimes don't keep in mind. According to LibGuides by Butler University, these books have been banned or censored due to their content and the age level at which they are aimed. In some cases, children's books are viewed to have inappropriate themes for the age level at which they're written for. The idea that although these themes may be appropriate for everyday reading, the problems it may cause within schools can cause an uproar of bigger problems. One book in particular that has faced many of these challenges is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. BannedBooksWeek.org claims that although objections to the book have evolved over time, it was only marginally. They quote, "It is alleged the book is racially insensitive, oppressive, and perpetuates racism. It's understandable to why this type of book would be banned in schools. Other books, such as Call of the Wild, are banned because they are too radical. These books bring to light many issues that are the source for problems within schools and can shape vulnerable minds." While books are extremely influential to young minds, social media has exploded in the lives of our youth. This platform gives the younger generation a place to voice their opinions. According to Huffington Post, although the United States has a First Amendment protecting free speech, it does not extend to the workplace, the classroom, or the dinner table. It is limited to the press, to religion, to assemblies, and to petitions. The amendments could not have planned for something as vast as the internet to come around. The amendments could not have planned for such extreme events to happen throughout American history. And the amendments could not have predicted that Americans would use their voices to go against what their country stands for. With this in mind, Huffington Post claims that if we hold to the ideals of truth and justice, we can encourage or demand censorship as needed. This demand comes from a deep-seated need to have a national culture around the same ethics and morals. Without censorship, our country's unity will be damaged because of radical social media posts. And while this may seem extreme, young minds are constantly affected by everything that happens on the internet. The author of GreenGarageBlog.org analyzes the effects that easy access to social media can have on children, who mirror everything that they see on a screen. Something as simple as parental controls allow parents who can't have their eyes on their child every second of every day to ensure that their child is safe from risky information and influence. They say that by limiting channels and sites they can gain access to, parents are assured that these young ones are kept from learning about information not proper for their age. Overall, social media has an overwhelming effect on youth and culture as a whole, and without different restrictions to information, this freedom of speech will extend to freedom of hate. While it is clear to understand why censorship may not necessarily be positive in regards to freedom of speech and press, CNN claims that human right of freedom does not apply to vulgar acts and words that may hinder the ability for nations to grow. It is understandable under certain situations to allow freedom of different words in literature and education, but if we let everyone run free, the ethics of morality will not be apparent, putting a bad image of American culture into young minds. When looking at the censorship of history in classes of young children, The Humanist says that texts and history books emphasize negative aspects of our nation's history. Censorship enables textbooks to educate the youth and save the more negative aspects of American culture for when the children are old enough to draw their own conclusions from these events. Data from OpenNet Initiative shows that out of 3,500 pieces of censored information, 3,169 of them were sexually explicit and 2,658 contained offensive language, both influential to young minds. These pieces of information are vulgar and could hurt the minds of our youth. Indeed, while it can violate human rights principles of freedom of speech and expression, censorship is sometimes justifiable. Through the understanding of why certain items need to be censored, it is clear to see that it's not only for the protection of our youth, but for minorities and our national pride. Censorship allows our national image to be more positive and brings to light many issues that our nation brings to the table when our thoughts are outwardly published.